Part 69. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 706. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend and introduce to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post. This chapter is 4K, and I will make up for what I owed yesterday. Chu Xia. Jun Daodu quickly stepped forward and pulled Chu Xia away. You and Xiaoxian were so uninteresting, you left us and ran away. Although the tone was dissatisfied, there was a smile on his face. Chu Xia was stunned. Is it possible that she already knew that she was pregnant? But it was not surprising. Zhou Hanliang had been keeping an eye on the group during this period. It was normal for Zhou Mixang to tell him the good news. When did you know? Chu Xia asked. What do you know? Jun Daodu looked at her with a confused look. I already know that you two have a holiday during the new year. Why do you ask like this? Chu Xia knew that she had understood the misunderstanding, so she smiled and changed the subject. You two came here together, won't there be any problems? No, we have told the teacher. She knows our relationship with you and allows us to come back when we go to work in the afternoon, Lu Meijun said. That's good. Chu Xia breathed a relieved sigh. She didn't want her friend to make the teacher unhappy because she would affect her work, which would affect her future. Her ability is limited. You can't just bother the group leader Zhangzi when your friends have something to do, right? Even if the group leader Zhangzi doesn't find it annoying, over time her family will think she is a troublemaker. Are you still looking for anyone else? Jun Daodu asked. Chu Xia thought for a while and said, no, let's meet them again at noon. Lu Meijun suggested, then let's go to the dormitory and sit for a while. There was still more than half an hour before the lunch break, and the few people standing here were indeed eye-catching, so Chu Xia nodded in agreement. The original 4-person room now has 6 beds. The original 4 beds belonged to Chu Xia, Luo Xiaoxian, Wu Jingbo, and Yang Xiali respectively. Later, Lu Meijun and Jun Daodu's beds were also added, making the room much more crowded. Luo Xiaoxian's luggage has been packed and she will move out after going to work during the Chinese New Year. Seeing Chu Xia's eyes falling on Luo Xiaoxian's packed luggage, Lu Meijun sighed, I still miss my days in the medical team. At that time, everyone lived together every day. Staying together, doing everything together, it's better now, even though we live in the same room. However, I couldn't see each other for a long time. Either because the work hours are different, or because the work has been transferred. If Daodu and I didn't follow the same teacher, I would be even more uncomfortable. Chu Xia, who was originally fine, felt inexplicably depressed when she heard what she said. She had always regretted that she got married before she had a good time in adolescence. It's better now, I'm directly promoted to motherhood. What's wrong? Seeing Chu Xia's unhappiness, Jun Daodu quickly held her hand. Meijun doesn't mean to blame you, she just misses the days when we were together. I know. It's not because of this, I just thought. Sighing, Chu Xia smiled bitterly, I'm going to move out from here too. Why? They both said in unison. Chu Xia told them about her pregnancy. Others could hide her departure, but these best friends could not. She cherishes the pure friendship between everyone. I hope it lasts a lifetime. She knows better that the more pure the friendship, the more frank it is, otherwise, there will be no return. This news shocked both Lu Meijun and Jun Daodu, and they had known about it all along. Chu Xia didn't plan to become a mother so soon. Without any psychological preparation, they didn't know whether to say congratulations or what to say. They should just go ahead and say congratulations. But emotionally, some of them can't accept the fact that their friends who are younger than themselves are going to be mothers. They have similar thoughts to Chu Xia, and they also feel sorry for each other. Congratulations. After a moment of hesitation, Lu Meijun asked what she was worried about. Are you going to stay at home now? No. Without waiting for Chu Xia's reply, Jun Daodu shook his head like a wave. Chuxia, you are just staying at home at such a young age, how is that appropriate? I think women still have to have. What do you think about your own career? You really can't stand up and talk without hurting your back. With the Zhou family's financial situation, how can you let the pregnant Chuxia develop her career? Lu Meijun glared at her. Do you think she is the same as you? That's right. Jun Daodu's little face fell. Chuxia, you might as well find someone with a similar family background. Look at me, my husband's family won't object to whatever I want to do, because of their family background. You don't have to worry about other people making fun of you. You are talking nonsense again. It is the group leader who likes Chuxia. Is it possible that you are forcing Chuxia not to marry him? Be careful. If the group leader knows your thoughts, he will never do it. Let you interact with Chuxia again. Chuxia won't say anything. Is it possible that you will file a complaint? Jun Daodu stared at Lu Meijun dissatisfied. Why do you deny everything I say? It's so annoying. I'm not denying it, I'm trying to help you straighten it out. Lu Meijun sighed helplessly. Why don't you know a good heart? Chuxia, who finally got a chance to interject, interrupted the two of them. It's not what you are worried about. Although I won't come to the hospital anymore, I still have to go to school. Zhou Mikang has already discussed with the elders in his family whether he will take a leave of absence from school when he is about to give birth, or he will not take a leave of absence from school at that time and I will take the exam. Of course, this decision will depend on the progress of my studies. Anyway, you don't have to worry about me, I will arrange my work and life well, don't worry. Jun Daodu glared at him dissatisfied. I hate it, why didn't you tell me earlier? Lu Meijun, who has always been good-tempered, also frowned. Chuxia, you are not kind. I want to say it, but I have to get the upper hand. You two say each other to me. Chuxia helplessly spread her hands. Didn't you notice that I opened my mouth several times but didn't get the right to speak? TCH, Jun Daodu rolled his eyes at her. You're bad. You just want to see us having fun. Forget it, I won't argue with you because you are a pregnant woman. But wait. Your baby is born, don't blame us for complaining to him. Lu Meijun quickly agreed. I agree, I must complain to Bao in the future. Then let me tell you another piece of news. They are two babies, not one baby, Chuxia said. Real. The two of them had identical expressions of surprise. They all stretched out their hands to hold Chuxia, and then all retracted, as if Chuxia was now fragile porcelain. After a while, Lu Meijun came back to her senses and sighed. Early summer. Under such circumstances, your husband's family can still allow you to go to class, which is really open-minded. However, twins are definitely more difficult and more dangerous. You must not be careless. If it is really not possible, you can learn to put it aside for a while, right? Jun Daodu agreed. Yes, it is not easy to be pregnant with twins in early summer. People have to be willing to give in. You are young, so even if you stay at home for 2 years, it will not be a waste. At this moment, the conversation between the two people had completely changed. Chuxia shook her head in a funny way. Look at you, you guys are going to talk about it one at a time. Do you mean to make me stupid? No, we are not thinking about your health, Jun Daodu quickly explained. We didn't know the situation before, so we can't take it seriously. That's right. Chuxia, don't be affected by what we say. Chuxia was even more speechless. It seemed like her decision was made before they tried to persuade her, right? Are they like this? The two of them also realized their contradictions at this moment. They looked at each other and looked at each other. Chuxia smiled sheepishly. I accept your concern for me, don't worry. I'm not a child, I know what I should and shouldn't do, Chuxia said and sighed. I don't know how many times I have to explain this kind of thing. Hey. It is almost foreseeable that many people will persuade her like this in the future. Alas, it's really big. June Dowdu laughed and said, "It's okay. It's good to talk more to avoid giving birth to a baby with a boring personality. According to what you say, if I explain it over and over again, the baby will be born a wordy person." "No, no, no," June Dowdu waved her hands repeatedly, "children actually don't understand what adults say. It's by nature that they feel happy when they hear their mother's voice. When a person is happy, he feels good and feels good. She has a cheerful personality, so don't worry, the child will definitely not be wordy." After chatting with the two for a while, Chu Xia got up and said, "Let's go find Yang Xiaoli, Wu Jingbo, and the others. Today we will go to Yuan's hometown to have a meal together." "Is this good?" Both of them were confused. Chu Xia snorted at the two of them, "What's wrong? You can respect Mr. Yuan more in the future and help me with some planning, okay?" "That's not the case. It's Chinese New Year. You said that we are not familiar with Mr. Yuan, so we just follow the past. Isn't it inappropriate?" Lu Meijun analyzed rationally. "I don't have any relatives here in my hometown, and the Chinese New Year is not lively either. They won't mind if we go there to have a lot of fun," Chu Xia said as she forcibly pulled the two of them out and almost came to blows with Yang Xiaoli and Wu Jingbo, who came in. "Bump together. Chu Xia, when did you come?" Yang Xiaoli took Wu Jingbo and took a step back, then said with a look of surprise, "Isn't it not time to go to work yet? Why do everyone ask the same questions? Chu Xia has a big head. If I had known, she would have appeared again when everyone got together. However, that way I won't be able to go to my original hometown for dinner at noon. Alas, it's really confusing." "So," Chu Xiaotongzi said the repeated words again. After some surprises, the four of them went to Song Xiao's office. Together with Jing Zhe and Guo Guo, the large group went to Yuan's hometown. The old lady had already known about the large group of guests at noon, so she and her daughter added more noodles and stuffing, and were still busy. "Teacher, I'm sorry, I should have come over earlier to help." Chu Xia apologized and hurriedly washed her hands. She had really forgotten this incident. Sure enough, does a pregnant woman have a bad memory? She secretly slandered herself. Except for Yang Xiaoli, the girls all washed their hands and stepped forward to help. "I'm too stupid, I must learn from it in the future," Yang Xiaoli, who was sitting aside, said with a sneer on her face. Chu Xia winked at her, "You have to learn. As far as I know, Brother May likes to eat dumplings." Unprepared, Yang Xiaoli's face instantly turned red, while others looked at her with surprise. Everyone knew what Chu Xia said about Brother May. Yang Xiaoli's face turned even redder. She glared at Chu Xia and said angrily, "I'm so annoying." Seeing this, everyone knew that what Chu Xia said was completely true. June Dowdu complained dissatisfiedly, "Xiaoli, you are too boring and your mouth is too strict. We live together every day, but you can't even speak at all." "That's right, you see Chu Xia, if anything happens, she will notify everyone as soon as possible, unlike you, who hides it here and there," Wu Jingbo said as he poked her. "It's a shame that I'm still with you. Ben, let's go together every day." I wanted to say it, but I didn't find the right opportunity and I didn't know how to say it. And after a pause, Yang Xiaoli told the truth, "I'm also worried that you will laugh at me." June Dowdu rolled her eyes at her, "This is so normal, what's so funny about it?" "He is much older than me and has been married before," Yang Xiaoli said with a stern look on her face. "I don't mind it myself, but others say this about me behind my back, I know. Those are short-sighted people. As long as you get along, it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're divorced or not." June Dowdu patted her boldly on the shoulder as she spoke, "Don't worry, our group will definitely support you. As long as it's what you like, as long as you can be happy, why do you care so much?" Looking at the big white handprints on her shoulders, Yang Xiaoli couldn't help but stretched out her hands to swat at them. Jun Daodu also realized that her actions just now were irrational, and quickly stood up. I'm going to wash my hands, I'm going to wash my hands. Yang Xiaoli. Is she that dirty? The house had never been so lively. Old MRSUN was beaming with joy as she listened to the bickering among several people. Yuan Hui whispered to Chu Xia, "Thank you. We're here to eat and drink." "Why should Sister Hui thank me?" Chu Xia looked at her with a smile. "Be careful, we come here to eat and drink every day." "Welcome then," Yuan Hui said, glancing at her father who was chatting animatedly with Jingzhe, and said, "Since I can remember, our family has never been so lively, and I have never seen my parents so happy. Other people always think that my father has an eccentric personality and are unwilling to deal with him. He is also aloof. Others are too lazy to care about him, and he is too lazy to care about others. Every time during the Chinese New Year, other people's families are happy, but our family always eats in silence, chats for a few words, and then goes back to their rooms to sleep as usual. I have never expected an atmosphere like today. Chu Xia, I sincerely thank you. In the future, if circumstances permit, you can come more often, okay? Enlightenment Book Network. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 707. Please remember the website address of this site. Please recommend promotional introductions to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Update 2. As long as Sister Hui doesn't mind me being annoying, I will definitely come often. Chu Xia smiled and accepted Yuan Hui's invitation. She was telling the truth. Although she would stay in school for the next period of time, she would not be able to rest. When the time comes, she will often go back to the hospital to visit her teachers and good friends. Has your cousin's job been settled? After being stunned for a moment, Chu Xia realized that Yuan Hui was asking about Lin Wenbin, and then smiled and said, "Well, it's settled, I will serve as the political commissar in Regiment B." Yuan Hui frowned slightly. "Zhang Jiaming, the leader of Group B, and I are classmates. He has a very fiery personality. Your cousin has been getting annoyed for a while." After thinking about it, Chu Xia said, "It doesn't matter if you have a fiery personality. The main question is it reasonable? It's reasonable to be reasonable, but he has a very close relationship with the original political commissar Xiang Qiahui, and Xiang Qiahui's transfer was caused by his family." Zhang Jiaming was not convinced by this, and he also fought for Xiang Qiahui. It's a pity that the result did not go as he expected. So, for the time being, he couldn't accept anyone being his partner. However, he and Xiang Qiahui couldn't get along with each other at first, but later, they became as good as the same person. He has such a temper that it is difficult to accept someone easily, but if he really has a bad temper, he is particularly easy to get along with. Based on your cousin's personality, you should be able to become friends with him and become a good match, but it will be difficult at the beginning. You can talk to your cousin about this so that he can be mentally prepared. Thank you, Sister Hui. Chu Xia quickly thanked her. How could she not understand Yuan Hui's thoughts on Lin Wenbin, but when Lin Wenbin didn't show any interest in Yuan Hui, she would not accept the move randomly. You can be enthusiastic about anything. But you can't be too enthusiastic about this kind of thing, otherwise it will make it difficult for everyone to get along with you in the future. Pity. She wanted to avoid it, but Yuan Hui didn't want her to avoid it, so she asked her directly, "Did your cousin have a blind date when he came home during the Chinese New Year?" "It seems not." After hesitating, Chu Xia added, "But I can't be too sure. I wasn't with my cousin for a period of time a year ago, and I don't know what happened to him." thing. Chuxia, are you afraid of taking any responsibility? Yuan Hui smiled at her. I like your cousin, you can tell, right? Oh my god. Are women in this era so tough? Even in her era, many girls were embarrassed to express their feelings so frankly, right? Do you think I'm a little shameless? Yuan Hui asked again. Sister Hui, why, no, Chuxia quickly denied it. She was just a little surprised by the other party's toughness. Besides, Mr. Yuan also asked her about this matter. Later, she also probed Lin Wenbin's talk, but unfortunately the other party did not give her a definite answer and moved around the topic. Then he let her go back to it and the other party did not answer the question. She is someone who knows how to advance and retreat, so of course she won't ask any more questions, just. She couldn't tell Yuan Hui the truth, could she? It's also too shocking. Is it your cousin who doesn't like me? It's not. Even though it was winter, Chu Xia felt like he was sweating on his head. She couldn't just talk nonsense about this kind of thing, but it seemed like it wouldn't work if she didn't answer. Before she could think of a countermeasure, the other party spoke again. It's okay, just tell me the truth. I'm not the kind of person who begs for nothing, but at the same time, I'm not the kind of person either. If he gives up easily, if I can, I will chase him. After talking about this, Chu Xia didn't want to hide anymore and simply told the truth. Sister Hui, why, my cousin has a knot in his relationship. I don't know if he has untied it. So, although there is that he wanted to do it, but he didn't dare to go too far. I can't force him to ignore his feelings just because he loves my sister. Sister Hui, why, you can understand what I'm doing, right? I understand, and I also guess that he must have had emotional setbacks. Otherwise, a person as good as him would not be single now. Now that I have said this, I will ask one more question. Is he and his relationship? It's impossible for girls who have a knot in their hearts to be together again, right? Impossible, the other party is already married. That's good. Yuan Hui breathed a sigh of relief. If that's the case, I believe that one day he will accept me. In fact, I quite appreciate this kind of emotionally persistent man. Chu Xia, will you support me? Support? Chu Xia looked at her sincerely. I also hope that eldest brother can find his sweetheart sooner. I like Sister Hui very much, and of course I will support Sister Hui. I feel relieved with your words. To be honest, I have thought about it. If you don't support it, I will simply give up. I can clearly see how much your elder brother values you. If you don't like it, no matter how hard I try, it won't work. Would you mind? Chu Xia looked her over and asked with a smile. Then why do you mind? If I am jealous of the relationship between brother and sister, then there is really something wrong with my brain. However, I want to say something ugly first. If he and I really get married, I will force him to treat me and you. It's just as good, you won't mind then, right? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her. Aren't you talking nonsense? If I mind this matter, to borrow your words, isn't there something wrong with my brain? Haha. Yuan Hui laughed. I call it treating the other person in his own way. In fact, our positions are the same and our moods are the same. We both hope he can be happy, right? It seems that you really like my brother. Chu Xia crooked her with her elbow. Come on, I support you and will help you with some small talk, but the key is still up to you. What are you two whispering about? Are you so hot? Suddenly, Jun Daodu stretched his head over and looked at the two of them suspiciously. What can't you let us know? Why is it so mysterious? If I told you that I wanted to be the hostess in early summer, would you believe it? Jun Daodu looked at Yuan Hui blankly, frozen there. Really? Yang Xiaoli looked at Yuan Hui with a happy face. Sister Hui, I have heard my sister say before that you are absolutely daring to love, hate, speak, and act emotionally. Now, I completely believe it. At the same time, I express my admiration. The original mother looked at her daughter helplessly and scolded, "You are such a heartless and stupid girl. How could you say such a thing openly to others? Anyone who can come to our house must not be an outsider." "What can't be said?" Yuan Hui smiled calmly. "Besides, being secretive about this kind of thing will only make things more complicated. They all know it. If a love rival appears, he will definitely inform me." Yang Xiaoli quickly said, "Sister Hui, don't worry, none of us like brother Lin, so you don't have to worry about potential love rivals among us. As for others, we will definitely keep an eye on them for you. If there is any trouble, we will report to you immediately." Yes, we must keep an eye on Sister Hui. Me too." Seeing several people rushing to express their opinions, Chu Xia was speechless. "How many opportunities do you have to get in touch with my eldest brother?" Everyone. They were just busy expressing their opinions and forgot about this matter. Su Shuxian, who was sitting silently next to Chu Xia, quietly pursed her lips and smiled. She found that these friends of the third sister-in-law were really cute. No wonder the third sister-in-law had such a good relationship with them. People say that birds of a feather flock together, and if you look at sister-in-law San's friends, you will know that sister-in-law San is definitely a kind and interesting person. No wonder brother San is so fond of sister-in-law San. After thinking about it, a certain cousin looked at Chu Xia with a look of admiration that could make a man like third brother die hard. "Is this an ordinary person? Hey, what do you mean when you look at me and smile like this? It's so scary." Lin Wenbin looked at Jingzhe, who smiled at him from time to time and shuddered unconsciously. Ever since he saw him, this guy seemed to have committed a crime. It's like a lunatic. Could it be that there's something wrong with your relationship and you're insane? Jingzhe tried his best to hold back his smile and not look at Lin Wenbin. He had no choice but to see him. As long as he saw him, he would think of the scene where Yuan Hui asked everyone to help keep an eye on this guy at noon. Thinking that this guy might be taken care of by Yuan Hui in the future, he felt very happy and said, "Let him compete with him for his sister again, humph, he must have received retribution." When Jingzhe didn't answer, Lin Wenbin had no choice but to ask his cousin for help. "Chu Xia, what happened today that made him so insane?" "It's nothing. Just when we were having dinner today, Sister Yuan Hui asked me why I didn't go, and then everyone started praising me for his good looks and good character. I think the eldest brother laughed because he thought of this." "Oh, that's what happened." Lin Wenbin nodded suddenly. "Everyone is very discerning. If you have an appointment with your friends another day, I'll treat them." "Okay," Chu Xia quickly responded. How could she not seize the opportunity presented to her? After hesitating, she asked again, "Brother, do you have feelings for Sister Yuan Hui? Can you please stop asking me such difficult questions?" Lin Wenbin looked at his cousin with a troubled expression. "Didn't you ask me last time? Could it be that you didn't understand what I meant?" "Yeah, I just asked because I didn't understand. Originally, I didn't want to ask, but I also know that Yuan Hui is Mr. Yuan's only daughter, and Mr. Yuan is so good to me. The way I looked at Sister Yuan Hui today, she must be very interested in my brother. I just want to know what my brother is thinking. If my brother is not interested in Sister Yuan Hui at all, I will tell Sister Yuan Hui the truth. If I feel that I am not sure about my feelings for Sister Yuan Hui, but I definitely don't hate Sister Yuan Hui, and it may develop, I won't say anything." After being silent for a long time, Lin Wenbin reached out and patted Chu Xia, stood up and left. To be continued. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 708. Please remember the website address of this site. Please recommend promotional introductions to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Updated today. Brother, can you understand what he means? Chu Xia looked at Jingzhe, confused. Is he interesting or not? I don't want to fool people like this. You're usually pretty smart, why are you so stupid now? Jingzhe shook his head in amusement. He already gave you the answer, and you didn't even notice. Did you give me the answer? After being stunned for a while, Chu Xia asked tentatively. Brother means that he agreed. Did he agree to try with Sister Yuan Hui? Then what do you want him to say? The helplessness on Jingzhe's face deepened. Is it possible that you want him to tell you directly, okay, I think Yuan Hui is good, let's give her a try. Do you think this is possible? That's true. Chu Xia smiled sheepishly. I'm not a fan of the authorities. I'm afraid that they will be hurt, and my brain will be a little rusty and I can't move. It means that you are very close to both of them. Chu Xia, you are a very emotional child. After a pause, Jingzhe said, this actually makes you vulnerable, but if it weren't for this reason, we probably wouldn't be able to get hurt. I won't be so close to you. Hey, humans are indeed the most contradictory animals. The conflict between the eldest brother and me is because he kissed me. Otherwise, who would care about this? So speaking of it, I am the happiest, with so many relatives who care about me. Chu Xia smiled with some regret. It's a pity that I got married early, so I can't be a bridesmaid for my brother and eldest brother. Hey. Listening to Chu Xia's change of names for the two of them, Jingzhe smiled bitterly. Sure enough, you are closer to Lin Wenbin now. Oh, man. Sure enough, you are closer to Lin Wenbin when we are together often. Isn't this just to differentiate? I originally agreed to call you eldest brother. But when I returned to the Lin family in the capital, I couldn't call you second brother. I had no choice but to unify, so I changed my title. The eldest brother treats me as his own sister, and the elder brother treats me as his own sister. With you here, I feel very at ease, and Zhou Mikang will never dare to bully me. I am protected by two older brothers. What a mouth you have. Jingzhe shook his head helplessly. Every word that comes out of your mouth makes people feel warm. In fact, as far as your behavior is concerned, there is really nothing to worry about. That means, how high my emotional intelligence is. Chu Xia raised her eyebrows proudly. Even though I am young, I understand it. I understand it better than many older people. Jingzhe praised, I admit this. Although you are young, you are very transparent and don't make too many mistakes. This is particularly rare and very endearing. Thank you for the compliment, brother. Chu Xia smiled with crooked eyebrows. Brother is such a transparent person. If you all praise me like this, it means that I am really good. Jingzhe. Is there anyone who praises himself so much? As soon as Zhou Mikang entered the house, I looked around and found my little wife sitting in the corner of the living room with a beaming smile. Looking at the person sitting opposite her, her brows furrowed in dissatisfaction. What are you talking about, smiling so happily? These words had a sour taste, and Chu Xia quickly smiled at him. Brother is praising me for being a thorough person. Yes, Zhou Mikang, you are not jealous of me, are you? Jingzhe glanced at him lightly. This is my sister, both emotionally and in terms of status. She is my sister. You are not jealous of my brother-in-law. If you dare to eat it, think about the consequences yourself. You think too much. Zhou Mikang glared at him. My wife is pregnant now and in a critical period. She can't have big mood swings. Without big swings are not good either. Jingzhe looked at him funny. Zhou Mikang, I'm a doctor, and I'm pretty good at gynecology. Sickness cannot be healed. Jingzhe. Is this also a reason? Why are you back so early? Chu Xia quickly changed the topic. Is this still early? Zhou Mikang frowned even more and stretched out his wrist in front of her. What time is it? Oh, I didn't look at the time, I thought it was around 3 o'clock at most. Jing Zhe stroked his forehead. He had just praised her for being transparent and well-spoken, but now she started to get confused in front of a certain group leader. Sure enough, when Chu Xia finished speaking, Zhou Mikang's face was already darkened, and he didn't care. Without attracting anyone's attention, he took her hand and said, "Let's go back to the room and rest. There is no gain in resistance." Chu Xia, who knew this truth well, stood up obediently and followed Zhou Mikang back to the room obediently. He. After closing the door, she smiled flatteringly at him. "I really didn't look at the time, otherwise I wouldn't have said that. Lie down and rest. I'll call you when you're eating." The group leader refused to answer her words and forced her to rest. "Are you angry?" Chu Xia tugged on his sleeve to please him. "Jing Zhe is my brother, and he really treats me as his biological sister. I wouldn't do that with others. I'm not angry." Team leader Tongzi tried his best to force a smile, "But you'd better not smile like that at other men in the future. It's not good if others misunderstand you." It was obvious that he was jealous, and he had to be embarrassed not to admit it. Okay, please note that I am a bit vain. I will be very happy when I am praised by others. From now on, I will try to be expressionless even when I am praised by others, okay?" Group leader Tongzi. Is this a disguised refutation of him? This little thing is becoming more and more courageous, but, she is a pregnant woman, forget it, let's not argue with her. Why are you gnashing your teeth? Do you want to eat people? Someone who had been observing the leader's tube made a pitiful appearance and shivered. I listened to you and will never laugh again. Isn't that okay? That's not what I meant. Zhou Mikang quickly interrupted her, joking, if she kept a straight face every day, why would all the elders have to worry to death? This little thing did it on purpose. Hey, who told her to be pregnant? Forget it, he endured it. It's my fault. Actually, the conversation at work didn't go well today, and I brought my emotions home. I will definitely change it in the future. Who gave you a hard time? Chu Xia was at odds with the group leader Tongzi today. No matter how the other party tried to make things up, she would not let him go. No one gave me a hard time, I just had some differences with other people's opinions. After a pause, Zhou Mikang sighed. Lin Wenbin is about to take office, and his leisurely days are about to end. That Zhang Jiaming is too stubborn. Chu Xia blurted out and asked, more stubborn than you? I'm stubborn but I'm reasonable. Does this mean that Zhang Jiaming is acting recklessly? Chu Xia's curiosity was aroused, so she sat upright and looked at him eagerly. What happened? Can you tell me? Your task now is to take care of yourself, don't worry about other things. Zhou Mikang refused to answer. Chu Xia pouted dissatisfiedly and lay down. After thinking about it, she simply turned over and turned her back to Zhou Mikang. Sitting there in silence for a long time, seeing her stiff and motionless, Zhou Mikang had no choice but to compromise. It's okay, he just has objections to changing partners, and knowing the relationship between me and Lin Wenbin, he deliberately went against me. Don't worry, well, I will handle it well, and when Lin Wenbin takes office in the future, I will try not to make it difficult for him. Anyone else dares to deliberately go against you, due to curiosity. Chu Xia completely forgot about her anger and sat up with her big eyes wide open. Are you kidding me? Zhou Mikang had a black line on his head. Am I similar to the king of hell in your eyes? Chu Xia quickly denied. No, I didn't mean that. Besides, you are so handsome, how can the king of hell compare with you? I'm just surprised. With your ability and reputation, how can anyone dare to go against you? Tisk tisk, it seems that my brother really chose the wrong place this time. With his wilting character, he will definitely be eaten up by the other party. However, Sister Yuan Hui told me about Zhang Jiaming. Let's talk about him. Although he is a bit stubborn and difficult to deal with, when he really sees someone, he will definitely be energetic. To put it this way, it is better than being with a two-faced person. Much better, right? Yes, he is just stubborn, and it is difficult for him to easily accept someone. But if he really accepts him, he will treat others with all his heart. Like his partner Xiang Qiahui, it took a long time for him to be accepted. He accepts. However, from then on, he protected Xiang Qiahui at all times. In fact, in this matter, the organization was not so absolute that Xiang Qiahui resigned, and his opinion was sought before. Xiang Qiahui didn't want to put more pressure on his leader, so he took the initiative to request demobilization to a local area. In this matter, his uncle also helped and arranged a new job for him, which was not bad. To be honest, it was rare for his family to arrange for him to be appointed to a local post after his family had made such a mistake. However, Zhang Jiaming refused to listen and insisted that Xiang Qiahui's departure was to make room for Lin Wenbin. He wouldn't listen to anyone's explanation. So, for the time being, Lin Wenbin will definitely have to suffer some hardships. As you know, whether he can gain a foothold in Team B depends on his ability. What I can help is really limited. I understand. Chu Xia nodded. Soldiers admire people who speak with true ability. If you forcefully protect him now, it will only make everyone hate him more. I believe that the soldiers of Regiment B should feel the same way about Zhang Jiaming as the soldiers of Regiment A feel about you. Now they will all feel that it was brother who squeezed Xiang Minghui away. Therefore, it is brother who must fight for whether he can stand on his own. Of course I understand this truth, don't worry, I won't blame you. At this point, Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. Am I so unreasonable in your eyes? Snored Zhou Mikang. Sure enough, it's impossible to reason with a woman at this time. It seems that everything he says is wrong. Forget it, who made her pregnant? He doesn't know her the same way. Hey, if I gave birth to a baby, would you still treat me like this? Chu Xia, who had been looking at his expression, asked abruptly. To be continued. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 709. Second update arrived. Zhou Kong had a meeting in the evening, so Chu Xia took Jing Zhe's car home. She said it was just a ride, but in fact, Jing Zhe was entrusted by Zhou Kong to send her home specially. The two families were not on the same road at all. Chu Xia. As soon as Chu Xia got in the car, ZhenMaleLead waved to her with a smile on her face. We haven't seen you for so long, do you miss me? Imagine, Sister Maleid, you are finally back. Chu Xia looked her up and down. You look thinner. It seems that the food there is not good enough, or else, you are just thinking about what Big Brother wants. I miss him. ZhenMaleLead glanced sideways at Jing Zhe. I don't miss him at all. He has almost forgotten what I look like. If I miss him, why don't I make him proud to death? That's what you said. Jing Zhe shook his head. Conscience of heaven and earth, asked Chu Xia, have I ever talked about you in front of her? It was Chu Xia who talked about me first, and you followed suit, right? It has to be said that ZhenMaleLead knows him very well. Jing Zhe sneered, that's just talk. Besides, even if I haven't seen you for 10 years, I will never fail to recognize you. What a hypocritical man. ZhenMaleLead shook her head and sighed. You clearly don't want me and you don't dare to say it directly. You have to make excuses in roundabout ways. You don't dare to say it? Even if we haven't seen each other for 10 years, you still won't forget me. Looks like. It doesn't mean the same thing. It's different. You can recognize me when you see me 10 years later. It can only be said that I have not changed too much. And if you still can't forget my appearance 10 years later, it means that you have always had me in your heart. Jingzhe, I am a person who will never speak against my own will, so the day I marry you must be the day when you tell me personally that even after 10 years of seeing me, you will never forget my appearance. Jingzhe had a black line on his face. What's your point? I agree with your reasoning, ZenMaleLead said, piercing her eyes and looking at someone installing a background board outside the window. Chuxia will bear witness to us. What kind of witness? Chuxia deliberately pretended to be confused. I don't seem to be qualified enough to bear witness to the marriage, am I? Isn't this the job of the elders and leaders? Pretend to be confused, just. ZenMaleLead glared at her. It's really a waste of my love for you. I only care about your brother. Looking towards my brother is the same as looking towards my sister-in-law. Chuxia said with a smile, Sister Malelee, you have to marry my brother as soon as possible. It's business to let others have no chance to influence him. Isn't that too cheap for him? No way. Chuxia looked at her seriously. It is the right way for you to put your brother in your own cage early so that he has no chance to get out of Hongxing. Am I that kind of person? Jingzhe glanced helplessly at Chuxia. Hongxing is cheating on me, can you be more exaggerated? You are not that kind of person, but you are afraid that Mr. Hongxing from outside the wall will come in and mess with you. I really want to believe that my eldest brother will not do such a disgraceful thing, but what if Sister Malelee misunderstands me? What should I do? One more thing is worse than one less thing. Therefore, getting married early, breaking up with many people's thoughts early, and living your own life well is the real right way. This is the most useful advice from a person who has experienced it. You're here. ZenMaleLead rubbed her head in a funny way. Can you be more exaggerated? I'm not exaggerating at all. Look, how many people are around Jokong? If he wasn't married, wouldn't I be worried to death now? Chuxia said and sighed. This man is not good, not good. Okay, it's too good, but it's not good either, so how much more worry do you have to worry about? ZenMaleLead laughed so hard. Seriously, when I look at you like this, why do I feel like a young man who doesn't know what it's like to be sad, and is forcing himself to express his sadness just to compose new lyrics? Ungrateful. Okay, I have no conscience. ZenMaleLead held her little hand flatteringly. I know you have a conscience, can you do me a favor? What? Chuxia looked at her warily. I won't accompany you back to your husband's house. Let's make a deal first. You. ZenMaleLead pushed her away angrily. You are so heartless. Chuxia smiled and didn't answer. ZenMaleLead couldn't do anything to her. She rolled her eyes and looked at Jingzhe. How about you have dinner at my second aunt's house? You can go back by yourself after dinner. What are you afraid of? Jingzhe glanced at her speechlessly. Isn't it just your mother who said a few unpleasant things? My mother won't care about it, don't worry. Auntie said something unpleasant. Chuxia looked puzzled. In her impression, Lin Yanmei had a good temper. ZenMaleLead didn't answer. Her face was obviously unnatural. What's going on? Chuxia stretched out her hand to hit Jingzhe. Brother, tell me what kind of riddle you two are playing. Do you really want to hear it? Certainly. Okay, you asked me to say it. Jingzhe cleared his throat and looked at ZenMaleLead. You better say it. It's not convenient for me to say it. I will not say. Chuxia looked at the two of them with a dark look. What kind of trouble are they going to make? Finally, it was ZenMaleLead who spoke. Zhu Xingqian had a bad relationship with Lin Yangkai before. Lin Yanmei was naturally attracted to her younger sister and had always been lukewarm towards Zhu Xingqian. Now that they are in-laws, their relationship is better than before, but they are not particularly close. Women can't avoid being in trouble, but Zhu Xingqian was unlucky. When she was complaining to her close friends that her in-laws were not affectionate towards her, Lin Yanmei arrived and listened clearly, so naturally she became unhappy. Zhu Xingqian was also embarrassed at the time, but out of instinct, she wanted to make up for it, but the more she filled up the holes, the more loopholes she found. The final result was that the two of them had a few words and broke up on bad terms. This happened just 2 days before ZenMaleLead came back. Therefore, when she went to Jing's house at this time, ZenMaleLead was a little scared. She was afraid that her mother-in-law would take out her anger on her, or that because of her mother, what would happen if her mother-in-law disowned her as her daughter-in-law? When you love deeply, you will inevitably have more worries. After listening to what she said, Chu Xia sighed helplessly. You just said that my brother won't get married unless he can say something that satisfies you. Your heart is entirely tied to my brother. If this continues, can you be steady? At this time, you still exposed my shortcomings. ZenMaleLead glared at her. Can you say something constructive or give me some ideas? The idea is that you follow the elder brother to his house openly. Aunt Zhu is not the kind of unreasonable person who blames weird people. If what I say is not accurate, you can settle the score with me tomorrow. ZenMaleLead nodded seriously. Okay, I believe what you said, but I tell you, if you are wrong, I will go to you to settle the score tonight. After Chu Xia returned home and finished eating, it was almost 8 o'clock, and Zhoukong hadn't returned home yet. Zhao Yulan was a little worried, so he took a moment to pull her aside and whispered, Ziahe, what time did you say you would be back? No, he just called and said he had a meeting in the evening and asked me to take my brother's car home. Chu Xia put her arms around Zhao Yulan's shoulders. Mom, don't worry, he's such an adult, it'll be fine. He is such an adult. Mom is not worried, but she is worried about you. Zhao Yulan glanced at her daughter's belly. You said that your sister-in-law, and third aunt are all pregnant. Why don't you make any move? Mom, what do you think this is for? Still getting together, Chu Xia smiled bitterly. Didn't I tell you that we want to have a baby 1 or 2 years later? You kid, you're already married, but you still don't have children. As an elder, why don't you worry? A man's heart is beginning to be attached to you. You look lovable, but no matter how lovable you are, it won't be as long as you look at it for a long time. That's what's going on, if you don't have a child. Chu Xia interrupted her. Mom, who told you what? Zhao Yulan quickly shook her head. No. There must be. Chu Xia frowned and stared at her. You are my mother. How can I not understand you? Before, you agreed that we would have children later, but now you suddenly make such a 180-degree turn and you still like to stare. My belly, if you say no one said anything, I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Mom, I am your daughter, if you have something to hide from anyone, you can't hide it from me, right? I'm not hiding it from you. When she said this, Zhao Yulan's tone was obviously a little weak. After a while, she felt uncomfortable being stared at by Chu Xia, so she had to surrender. Yes, it was Yamiru's mother who told me. Yamiru's sister-in-law, a very smart woman, is pestering me every day now. Mom, can you please save your worries? Chu Xia took a long breath and pulled Zhao Yulan back to the room. Mom, why are you dating her? After Yamiun had a conflict with her family that day, didn't she stay at our house? Today, her husband's family came to find her, and your old mother-in-law and mother-in-law said that after all, it is their family matter, and we should not interfere too much, so they advised her to. Yamiun went back to solve the problem. Later, Yamiun went back with her husband's family. When she left, Xiao Tongtong cried so much that my heart broke. Chiang Yuxian was also crying. Seeing her look, I couldn't help but comfort her. Then, she told me that for the sake of my kindness, she told me something. She was talking about sister-in-law Xiaohe and Yamiru. I didn't really believe it, but what she said, if you have a nose and eyes, I'm worried. Chu Xia, of course you are the best and smartest in mother's eyes, but mother must also admit that that girl from the Huang family is no worse than us. We are together every day. Mom can't trust Jokang, and she really thinks that I'm not as good as Huang Sui, right? Chu Xia looked at Zhao Yulan, who was nervously shaking his head in a funny way. Mom, don't worry, you didn't hit me, and I know that. I say this because I feel sorry for you. Don't worry, Jokang is not that kind of person, and your daughter and I are not as stupid as you think. If there are any clues between them, I can see it. Jokang is really having a meeting today, so mother can rest assured. Otherwise, when he comes back, I will ask him to explain this matter to mother in person and make a guarantee. Ours. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 710. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotion introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Chapter 686. Lin Yangkai frowned at her son's words. Indeed, this was a problem. Yu Tao didn't know what happened back then. If Guo Caping came there rashly. Glancing at Yu Tao, who was sitting next to Zhao Yulan and helping to choose vegetables, Lin Yangkai said to her son with a serious face, "Boss, when you see Tao in a good mood, mention this matter." Watermark advertising test. Watermark advertising test. Okay, Zhou Zikang nodded in agreement. Guo Caping's temper, hey. Sighing, Lin Yangkai continued, if she wasn't so eager for quick success and quick gains, it wouldn't be a problem to find a good in-law for Jin Lan. Really, I liked Jin Lan very much back then. She was not as utilitarian as her mother, but that child was too clueless and listened to her mother in everything. If she continued like this, her mother would be delayed for the rest of her life. Incidentally, she herself thought her mother was doing it for her own good. Hey, it's a good thing she didn't become an in-law. Otherwise, Guo Caping would be annoyed to death by hiding from the sky. Boss, you have a pretty good idea on this matter. Zhou Zikang smiled. Mom, I have never thought about anything with Jin Lan. Mom only wants her to be her daughter-in-law. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Besides, as my mother said, Jin Lan is still a pretty good kid. For a while, I thought she was just as snobbish as her mother, which was quite disappointing. But later I heard from other people that she was too obedient to her mother, and her mother's decree was the imperial decree. As a result, people misunderstood her. Hey, she is such a good child, what a pity. Mom, I'm different from you. Zhou Zikang looked at Lin Yangkai seriously. Mom thinks Jin Lan is not snobbish, but she just follows Aunt Guo too much. But, does Mom remember when she was in school? Because there was an exam, did you fall behind Chuyushu and not eat for 2 days? At that time, everyone thought she was ambitious. She is punishing herself, but I think she cannot tolerate others being better than her, because your problem is that she has not eaten for 2 days, and mine is that she used her pitiful appearance to drag a group of girls to deal with Chuyushu. It was also after that time that Chuyushu transferred to her grandma's school. Is a person who can force his competitors like that really a loser? Could it be that she wants to climb high and is afraid of others? Deliberately trying that way to make everyone think that she was just too filial and too obedient to Aunt Guo? Mom, this matter has nothing to do with us anymore, but I still have to come out in case my mother one day does something she regrets out of pity for her. Is there such a thing? Lin Yangkai frowned. You didn't have this matter with me back then. Otherwise, I wouldn't have always felt that the kid was so clueless. I'm sorry. Maybe Mom didn't take it seriously. That was the time when Rao Rao's accident happened. Mom was in a daze. Here, Zhou Zikang's voice deepened. Mom. I'm sorry, I brought this up again. Boss. Mom doesn't want Rao Rao to become a taboo in this family. She will always be a part of the family. I'm worried that mentioning it will make the relationship between the third child and dad become colder again. Zhou Zikang expressed his worries. No, Lin Yangkai shook her head. the third child is not as fragile as you think. He has also talked with your father and truly understood your father. Don't worry, the third child and your father will never be like each other again. It's the same as before. That's good. Zhou Jingping breathed a long sigh of relief. There's no way we won't go to Rao Rao on her death anniversary every year. I've been worried about the third child's attitude, and now I can finally rest assured. You don't understand your brother very well. He couldn't forgive your father's choice because he couldn't make up his mind before. His personal emotions were also mixed in. After all, he and Rao Rao have the best relationship among you brother and sister. But after he has gone through so many experiences, he has actually forgiven your father. However, you are not unaware of his bad temper. He will never show kindness until there is a way out. And all of us have never dared to offend him, for fear of offending him and never coming back to this house again. But the more careful we are, the farther away we are, and even later, his life and ours will become different. Life almost loses its intersection. The appearance of Chu Xia is just right. I don't know if you have noticed that at certain times, Chu Xia's demeanor and tone are very similar to Rao Rao. I believe this is what attracted Lao San in the first place. Mom, what you mean is that the third child and Chu Xia are together because Chu Xia looks so sexy. No, Lin Yangqiu denied, that's just the reason why Lao San pays more attention to Chu Xia. After getting along with each other, you will find that Chu Xia and Rao Rao have completely different personalities. It can only be said that in all aspects of early summer, Lao San's preferences were right. As a person, he had sustenance in his heart. He was no longer so stubborn about some things and was willing to face them. That's why today's situation happened. Mom, do you mean something else? Josei Kang thought about it for a moment and understood. You want me to tell you Tao not to feel uncomfortable because everyone is biased towards Chu Xia. Boss, as expected, a man who wants to be a father has a lot to think about. Lin Yangqiu smiled at him approvingly, especially when Chu Xia is pregnant with twins. Everyone's attention must be more on her, and, on many things, I will compromise with her. She is my mother's daughter-in-law, and I don't want Tao to think too much about it. Mom, don't worry, Tao is not that ignorant. She is a sensible person, but it is not easy for her to be pregnant with this child. I definitely hope that everyone will care more about her, but I have to admit that everyone will care more about Chu Xia than her. If she was pregnant with twins, everyone would be more concerned about her. She must understand this. Mom, don't worry, I will talk to her and find out what she thinks. If she really has an idea, I'll explain it to her. If not, I won't mention it at all. But Mom, you can't be too biased. They are all your daughter-in-law, so you have to have a bowl of water to keep them balanced. Moreover, I, the eldest brother, am not as well developed as the third brother. If my mother is biased in this matter, Tao will really feel that she has married a loser. Later, Josei Kang deliberately grimaced, looking particularly aggrieved. Okay, you are so old, and you are still acting like a baby in front of your mother. Lin Yangqiu poked him funny, then pushed him, go and accompany Tao for a walk. Okay. Josei Kang stood up and smiled apologetically at Zhao Yulan. Auntie, I'm going to take Tao out for some activities. Go on, go on. Zhao Yulan smiled and waved to him, I'll do this work myself. Go quickly. Remember to wear more clothes and don't take any chances. Okay, thank you, Auntie. Josei Kang pulled Tao out of the door. What were you doing with Mom just now? Seeing no one around, Tao asked. You and Mom lowered your voices and deliberately avoided Aunt Yulan's side. My wife really has eyes. Josei Kang praised her with a smile. If it's inconvenient, tell me. No need. Tao quickly added. What's the inconvenience of this? You are a member of the Zhou family. There is nothing I need to hide from you. Mom didn't want to hide it from you, but she was worried about affecting your mood. You must know that you are now a treasure more precious than a giant panda. Everything that makes you feel bad must be avoided. However, I think that with my wife's generosity and wisdom, she will definitely not mind this matter. Hurry up then, Yu Tao pushed him angrily. You are so annoying, do you really want to kill me? You can have more fun by whetting your appetite. It's like this. Mom used to have a very close friend. Josei Kang recounted the agreement between Lin Yangqiu and Guo Caping, as well as the subsequent falling out. What's this matter? Yu Tao stared at him speechlessly. What's the point of such a small thing? How mean-spirited am I to you and Mom? You didn't mind if I didn't tell you back then. I don't mind. Yu Tao shook her head. Our family's family background is so different from yours. I feel inferior. If you really told me, I probably wouldn't have the courage to marry you. So if I really want to come out, I have to thank you for thinking about me so much, and I should be proud. My mother-in-law and my husband treat me so seriously, shouldn't you and I be proud? Yes. Yes. Yes, Josei Kang nodded repeatedly. Tao, you are more tolerant and generous than I thought. I am so happy to marry you home. Pull it down, your expression is so fake. Yu Tao pushed him. Don't be so exaggerated just because I'm pregnant. I want you, as you were before, as you are now. Okay, follow your orders. Feeling a gust of wind blowing over him, Josei Kang quickly stood in front of her to block her with a nervous look on his face. Yu Tao laughed. I'm just pregnant, not sick. Do you need to be like this? It's necessary. At this time, it's better to be careful. Zhou Mikang held him in his arms and walked forward. I want to learn from the third child. I was too careless before and was not a qualified husband. Chu Xia has so much more care than Lao San, so of course he has to care more. We are the same age, so there is no need to be like that. Yu Tao laughed. If you really treat me like Lao San does to Chu Xia, I will definitely scare you. He ran back to his parents' home. Then your mother and grandma are so nervous about Chu Xia. Do you have anything in mind? Josei Kang asked carefully what he wanted to ask. When I was just pregnant, my mother and grandma were so nervous about me. Now that I'm past the dangerous period, they are naturally less nervous. Josei Kang, you've gone too far. Yu Tao glared at him dissatisfied. How could you be so don't understand me? Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 711. Tower. Josei Kang sighed slightly, holding his wife in his arms. We have lived together for several years, of course I know what kind of character you are. But aren't you pregnant now? Relatively speaking, pregnant women have greater mood swings, so I ask you this. Mom also hopes that I can have a good chat with you, so as not to keep some things in your mind that are harmful to your body. Good. I am so much older than Chu Xia. It would be too boring to be jealous. After a pause, Yu Tao looked at her husband seriously. Josei Kang, I solemnly declare that I do not feel that my elders we don't treat me as well as Chu Xia, even if it seems so, there is a special reason. I will never think twice about it. If you get pregnant like this again, I will be really angry. Okay, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. I promise that I won't doubt it like this again. In fact, I'm not doubting it. I just feel that my mood is different when I'm pregnant, so I'm more cautious. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you these questions. Yu Tao glanced at him with satisfaction. This is more or less the same, but we have agreed that if my mother-in-law and old woman have any doubts about something in the future and it is difficult to ask me, you must tell me, but not because you are afraid of me. If you are angry, you deliberately hide it. Don't worry, I will do it. Josei Kang held her in his arms and continued to move forward. We are an old married couple, do we still need to give advice? Brother, sister-in-law, you are so loving. The couple turned around and saw Zhang Shui looking at them with a smile, and added, brother and sister-in-law have such a good relationship that I am envious. Why are you here? Are you after get off work or are you visiting relatives? Josei Kang said hello politely to avoid hitting the smiling person. I'm visiting my aunt's house. Zhang Shui's eyes fell on Tao Tao's belly. Sister-in-law. How many months have you been here? More than 4 months. Really? Zhang Shui looked surprised. That's really inconspicuous. I've heard my grandma say a long time ago that some people can't tell when they're pregnant. They're so beautiful. I still don't believe it. Look at my sister-in-law now. I believe it. Yu Tao smiled slightly but said nothing. These words are obviously meant to please. Generally speaking, when you are more than 4 months pregnant, it will not be particularly noticeable, especially now that it is winter. It is normal for you to wear thick clothes and not be able to see it. But it is possible to think this way without getting married and having children without experience, but when it comes to Zhang Shui, Yu Tao doesn't believe it. The other party is obviously deliberately trying to please her and wants to repair the relationship with the Zhou family. Ever since the Zhou family found out about Zhang Sushang's pursuit of Liao Hui last year, the Zhou family and the Zhang family have basically stopped contacting each other. As for Zhang Shui, she is even less embarrassed to go to the Zhou family again. It turns out that Josei Kang had a good impression of Zhang Shui. But since he learned that she was involved in her younger sister's marriage, he stopped talking to her. If it weren't for the Chinese New Year today, the other party would take the initiative to say hello. He didn't bother to answer. Now that the greetings had been given, there was no need to stay and exchange greetings. He nodded at the other party. Pull Yu Tao up and continue walking forward. Zhang Shui hurriedly took a few steps to block the two of them, with tears in her eyes. Brother and sister-in-law, are you still angry with me? I already know that I was wrong, can you forgive me? I didn't expect Zhang Shui to have such a direct attitude. Josei Kang and Yu Tao didn't know how to answer the conversation for a moment. I was obsessed with things at that time. Later, my grandma and my parents gave me a scolding. They didn't let me go home for 2 months. At the beginning, I was very angry with them and felt that they didn't treat me as a relative, but after a long time, I figured it out, and I was very upset. I acted according to my own temper, which made it difficult for the two families who had such a good relationship to get along. Watching my grandma wander around the house and go back when she left the house, I felt very uncomfortable. Brother and sister-in-law, could you please talk to Grandma Jo? If you have time, talk to my grandma. Otherwise, I'm really afraid that my grandma will get into trouble. The person she can talk to the most is Grandma Jo. My mother persuaded her to go out and play with other people, but she just wouldn't go. There's nothing I can do about it. Big brother and sister-in-law, please. Josei Kang nodded. Okay, I will tell Grandma. When can you move back? Zhang Shui asked with hope. After hesitating, Josei Kang told the truth. I probably won't move back in a short time. We were supposed to live in the old house. It's just that we didn't clean up the house after we returned it, so we postponed the moving day. Now here we are. Now that everything has been repaired, there is no reason to leave. However, every once in a while, grandparents will go back there to see their old friends. However, Grandpa Jing and Grandma Jing have also moved here. Grandpa and Grandma no longer have anyone they particularly care about over there. So, when can we go back? I really can't tell you. The Jing family also has a house here, which was bought by Grandpa Jing's father. It is not as big as Joe's house, but the environment is also very good. After the new year, Grandpa Jing and Grandma Jing were bored there and forced the whole family moved here together. After living here, Grandpa Jing, Grandma Jing, Grandpa Joe, Grandma Joe, Grandpa Wan, and Grandpa Ye all got together. When they had nothing to do, they would gather together to chat. They lived a comfortable life, and how could they think about it? Then move back. Josei Kang's answer made Zhang Shui's eyes darken. Seeing Josei Kang pulling Yu Tao away again, he quickly stopped him again. Brother and sister-in-law, please let Grandpa Joe and Grandma Joe come to my house, okay? This request is a bit excessive. Josei Kang frowned. Zhang Shui, I have promised to tell you. As for how to do it, that should be the personal freedom of my grandparents. I don't need you to teach me, right? No, I didn't mean that. Zhang Shui waved her hands anxiously, tears rolling down like broken beads. I wouldn't have made such a request if it wasn't a last resort. A few years ago, my grandma always had stomach aches. She thought it was just ordinary gastroenteritis at first, so she asked Dr. Song to prescribe medicine. However, after a few days, not only did she not feel better, but the pain became even worse. My parents take her to the hospital. The result of the examination was not good. I was hospitalized for more than 10 days and went home on the 29th of the 12th lunar month. The doctor said that the patient must be in a good mood, otherwise. Zhang Shui choked and said not going down. Josei Kang understood what she meant. If his grandparents could take the initiative to open the knot regardless of the previous suspicion, it would be good for Grandma Jiang's health. He sighed, you come with me, you and me, my grandparents will discuss it. Thank you, brother. After a pause, Zhang Shui quickly added, thank you, sister-in-law. Is this your first time here today? Josei Kang asked. No, biting his lip, Zhang Shuiyu said, I have been here several times, but I have never met you or my sister-in-law. I dare not come forward to anyone else. Josei Kang nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Zhang Shui would definitely not dare to beg his mother, and as for his younger brother Zhou Mikang, Zhang Shui would not dare even more. For the second uncle, second aunt, third uncle, and third aunt, it would be useless to beg her. After all, her heart is tied to her own family. On the other hand, as for grandparents, the chance of being encountered is even smaller. After a few people entered the door, Lin Yangkai's face immediately darkened. Mrs. Zhou also frowned. Although the others did not speak, their expressions were not very good. After Zhang Shui said hello one by one, she looked at Josei Kang pleadingly. Grandpa, Grandma, Mom. Josei Kang reported to all the elders about Grandma Jiang's illness, and finally looked at his mother Lin Yangkai. Mom. Lin Yangkai waved her hand to interrupt him, and looked at Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou. Dad, Mom, if it's directed at Zhang Shui, I won't forgive you, but Aunt Zhang shouldn't take the responsibility for her. I'm willing to go see it with you, Aunt Wang Zhang. Third aunt, thank you. Zhang Shui looked at Lin Yangkai with a grateful face. I promise you that I will never do anything detrimental to the Zhou family. Please believe me. Lin Yangkai said nothing with a sullen face. Zhang Shui looked at Mrs. Zhou at a loss. Grandma, I'm sorry, I was really wrong. Mrs. Zhou sighed, everyone makes mistakes when they are young. If you know your mistakes and can correct them, you are a good child. Don't worry, we will see your grandma soon. But does she know her condition now? I don't know. Zhang Shui shook her head. My parents lied to her that it was a severe gastric ulcer, and she believed it. Mrs. Zhou and the old man looked at each other, then turned to look at Zhang Shui. In this case, we can't rush there in such a hurry today. Let's go there tomorrow. We haven't gone there yet after the new year, so we can just go there tomorrow. While celebrating the new year, I stopped by to see her. If I didn't do it deliberately, she wouldn't think too much about it. Thank you, Grandma, thank you grandpa, thank you third aunt, thank you eldest brother and sister-in-law, thank you third brother, thank you. Like a robot, Jiang Shui thanked everyone in the Zhou family, which made her image that had fallen to the bottom a little. It picked up some more. After thanking him, Jiang Shui left wisely. This child is much more mature than before. Lin Yangqiu sighed and walked upstairs. I'm going to call Josei. It's best to inform her about this. Mrs. Zhou nodded. Well, we should talk to her and ask for her opinion. No matter what, we can't hide this from her or let her down. 10 minutes later, Lin Yangqiu came downstairs. Our mistress is basically a sharp-tongued person. As soon as I explained the situation, she didn't even try to persuade me, but she tried to persuade me first, saying that at this time, we can't dwell on that. Don't let small mistakes go. Hey, this kid. Which child in our family is not like this? Mrs. Zhou said, glancing at Zhou Mikang, who had been silent. Isn't this also a typical example? I called Chu Xia to eat. Zhou Mikang stood up and walked upstairs. Hey, Lin Yangqiu sighed slightly. Xiaomi is actually the most emotional person. He knows what is most important to him and what he doesn't need to mind. This is what we all need to learn. But this time, we should still go see sister-in-law Lao Zhang. Old Mrs. Zhou sighed heavily, otherwise, we will all regret it. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 712. Updated today. P.S. There will be 3 updates tomorrow. This night, Zhou Mikang remained silent. When returning to the room to rest, Chu Xia looked at her with a puzzled expression. Did something happen? No, you have a good rest. Zhou Mikang said as he tucked her into the bed. Tomorrow we have to go to the courtyard to pay New Year greetings, so go to bed early. Don't be perfunctory. Chu Xia glared at him dissatisfied. Look at your face, it's clearly written with the words I'm unhappy. If you don't tell me, will I be able to sleep? Zhou Mikang reached out and touched his cheek. Is it really that obvious? What do you think? Chu Xia curled her lips at him. I'm just pregnant, and I'm not stupid. During dinner today, everyone was very talkative. Grandma, and mother ran back to the room early to go to bed. If you want to say it's okay, I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Seeing that Zhou Mikang was still silent, Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. I don't want to say that I'm a loser. If I didn't feel that I was also a member of the Zhou family, I wouldn't ask. Grandma Zhang was seriously ill. Jiang Shui came over and begged her grandparents to see her and talk to her. Grandpa, Grandma, and Mother agreed, and Josei also agreed. After sighing, Zhou Mikang continued, I feel that the elders should not agree. I feel uncomfortable when I think of my sister being bullied and pretending that nothing happened with a shy smile. No wonder I suddenly decided to go to New Year's greetings tomorrow. Frowning, Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang. I hear what you want, my fourth sister also wants to go together tomorrow. Zhou Mikang shook his head. She won't go. Chu Xia breathed a sigh of relief, then said with a puzzled look on her face, then why do you say she has to put on a shy smile and pretend that nothing happened? Your brain. Zhou Mikang rubbed her head helplessly. I'm usually very smart, but now I can't figure it out. She didn't want to go, but Mom asked for her opinion. She must remember that paragraph thing. Yes, she told her mother that she didn't mind and let her mother and grandparents do whatever they wanted. But if you think about her character, how can someone who can't hold a grain of sand in her eyes really have no sex at all? But with Grandma Jiang's physical condition, if she showed any signs of being unhappy, it would be magnified and become the target of public criticism. She was obviously unhappy, but she had to pretend to be happy. Pregnant again. After sighing, Zhou Mikang stopped talking. Understood what he was worried about. Chu Xia looked at him with a touch of emotion. This man, in front of outsiders, was so cold and hard, indifferent. But in front of his family, he has the softest and most transparent heart in the world. She moved to the bed and reached out to hold his arm. I won't go to Jiang's house to pay New Year's greetings tomorrow. I'll go find fourth sister. No need. Zhou Mikang held her in his arms and reached out to rub her head. Grandma Zhang likes you very much, and you occupy a particularly important position in the Zhang family. If you don't go, Grandma Zhang will definitely have more think. I still say the same thing. I don't object to visiting Grandma Zhang, I just feel sorry for Xiao Si after New Year's greetings. Let's pick up Xiaoxi and take her home for a few days. Can you and her chat more? Okay, Chu Xia nodded quickly. I will accompany her. Well, we are both pregnant now. We will have a lot of common topics. Don't worry, she and I will definitely not be left alone. You two have never been alone together before. Zhou Mikang rarely laughed. When you two are together, how can you talk to others? That's because we are destined. Fourth sister said that she liked me the first time she saw me. After a pause, Chu Xia broke away from Zhou Mikang's arms and sat across from him. I'm serious, when I first came to the Zhou family, my favorite was also the fourth sister. Huh, Zhou Mikang frowned and stared at her with dissatisfaction. Really? Of course it's true. Chu Xia looked at him in confusion. Aren't you happy that my fourth sister and I have a good relationship? Why? How can I be unhappy? Zhou Mikang stood up quickly. I'm going to take a shower, you need to rest quickly. Seeing the group leader Zhangzu running into the bathroom as if he was running away, Chu Xia touched her head in confusion. After a while, she realized what she was doing and laughed dumbly. She is such an arrogant and awkward person. It usually takes 5 minutes to take a shower, but this time it actually took 10 minutes. When the group leader came out of the bathroom with his tube squeaking, he found that his little wife was still full of energy and sitting on the bedside, not at all sleepy. Why aren't you sleeping yet? The leader, Tongzi, was full of guilt in his stern questioning. Waiting for you. Chu Xia smiled at him. Zhou Mikang, you are so worthless that you are jealous of your sister. Nonsense. Zhou Mikang threw aside the big towel for wiping his hair, walked to the bed in a few steps, and stared at her. You have to remember, the person you like the most can only be me, and it has nothing to do with jealousy. He. Chu Xia smiled proudly. Have you forgotten that you were not at home when I first came to your house? The group leader suddenly froze there, looking at his laughing little wife rolling on the bed. He wanted to hit the wall in annoyance. How could he forget about this? His image. I know, you love fourth sister too much, ha ha ha. Looking at his little wife who was smiling with no image at all, Zhou Mikang couldn't help but laugh. Anyway, it was worth it to make her so happy. After all, the image can be restored slowly. For pregnant women, happiness is the most important thing. The most important. After breakfast the next day, the Zhou family went to the courtyard to pay New Year greetings. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan did not need to follow them, so they quietly told Chu Xia that when they saw Zhou Xiangping, they must say more words to make her happy. Don't worry, I will do it. Chu Xia then told her parents with some worry. Father, Mother, we probably won't be able to make it back in time at noon. You two need to have a good meal at home. Chu Xia, don't you trust me too much? Before Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe could express their opinions, Lin Wenbin had already answered, with me at home, how can I make my second uncle and second aunt hungry? Didn't Big Brother say that he was going to visit the group today? Chu Xia said with a puzzled look on his face. I originally wanted to go today, but since you are all out, I will go tomorrow instead, Lin Wenbin said and glared at her. In your heart, do you think I don't value my second uncle and my second aunt that much? Yes, it's my fault. Chu Xia walked out. Everyone is waiting for me, let's go. This child. Zhao Yulan shook her head helplessly. I don't know if she will look like an adult after giving birth to a baby. This is good. If she really changes her ways, she will no longer be her. Lin Wenbin greeted the couple back to the living room to sit down. Second uncle and second aunt, please don't force her to change, everyone will change it. Disappointed. Haven't you noticed that when Chu Xia is here, the family laughs constantly? Her character is particularly contagious. There is no shortage of dignified and graceful people in this family, so let her stay true to herself. But Zhao Yulan hesitated. After all, she is going to be a mother. I'm afraid that her in-laws will think that she is dishonest, especially with the Zhou family's family background. Hey. And, no, the elders in the family really like the character of the third brother and sister. Zhou Jiping answered suddenly, which startled Zhao Yulan. When she looked up, she saw the other party walking down the stairs, followed by Su Mingtao. Lin Wenbin also forgot about Zhou Jiping and his wife not going. He was stunned for a moment and then laughed. Fortunately, we didn't say anything bad about you. Your sudden appearance is just like a spy. It's scary. I'm sorry. Zhou Jiping smiled apologetically at a few people. I don't want to go. She wrinkled her nose as she said, there was no one in the compound that Su Mingtao and I didn't know before, and now we go there with great fanfare. Doesn't that mean we told everyone that we had a falling out with the Su family, so the two of us hid and didn't come down? Zhou Jiping was so calm, and Lin Wenbin's feeling of discomfort disappeared. He waved to Su Mingtao affectionately, Brother Su, you are now a model of a good husband. Otherwise, why don't you show us your skills this noon? Okay, Su Mingtao agreed happily, I can't do anything else, but I am good at making noodles by hand. I will make the best fried noodles for you at noon today, he said and looked inquiringly. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, uncle, aunt, do you like fried noodles with soybean paste? Zhao Yulan nodded quickly, I love eating, but I'm not too embarrassed. Aunt, what's there to be embarrassed about? Usually everyone is at home, so he's embarrassed to show off his ugly face. Zhou Jiping said to Zhang Ma and Xiao Jing, who were busy washing in the kitchen, Zhang Ma, Xiao Jing, you can finish washing, don't worry about anything else, let Su Mingtao cook lunch today. Zhang Ma quickly wiped her hands and came out, with an uncomfortable look on her face. Second miss, how about that? You tell me what you want to eat, and Xiao Jing and I will do it. Mother Zhang, it's rare that Su Mingtao wants to show off his skills. Just give him a chance. There are not many people around at noon, so that's it. Otherwise, help him make peace. Su Mingtao quickly interrupted his wife, no, 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 I have to control the softness and hardness of the noodles myself. Otherwise, if it doesn't taste good, who's to blame? Everyone laughed when he said one sentence, and the originally slightly awkward atmosphere suddenly became relaxed. At this time, Lin Yangqiu in the car was also talking about her second daughter and her couple. Of course she noticed that the young couple did not get up for breakfast, and she believed that the old man and the old lady also noticed it, but everyone chose not to mention it. However, when she went out and sat in the car, with only her eldest son, eldest daughter-in-law and younger daughter-in-law, she no longer concealed her feelings for her eldest daughter. My second brother has been looking at the smiling face all day long, but I still feel bitter in my heart. Otherwise, she would have told me directly that she didn't want to go, and there would be no need for her to be so secretive and pretend to be confused. Yu Tao has a quiet and virtuous character. She felt that she could not handle this topic well, so she could only sigh and reach out to stroke her mother-in-law's back. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 713. One update arrived. But Chu Xia smiled at Lin Yangqiu, Mom, from now on, the second sister can always be by your side, and you don't have to deal with things you don't like with a smiling face. As for the rumors, after a while, as long as you see that the second sister is doing well, and no one will talk nonsense. And I believe that the second sister has thought about it now. As for her not telling you specifically, I think she might be afraid that you don't know how to answer her. You see, if you agree, it seems like you care about other people's rumors about the second sister. If you disagree, it seems like you are unreasonable. Anyway, no matter what you do, there seems to be a problem. The reason for such consequences is that everyone is avoiding this issue, thinking it is for the other's benefit. In fact, they are all awkward. If mom and the second sister talk it out, nothing will happen. My brother and sister are right, I think so too. Josei Kang, who was driving, immediately agreed. Xiaoji and Mingtao are sweeter now than when they were in love. If you say she is really worried about her, will it be like that? Thinking about the way her second daughter and her husband were quarreling with each other, Lin Yangkai's lips curled up. It's true that I'm in over my head. The two of them seem to be on the same page now. They probably like their current situation quite a lot, but they just don't want others to guess. Let's just guess and talk. In early summer, mom hasn't seen everything clearly yet, so it seems I have to learn from you in the future. Mom, the relationship between you and the second sister is incomparable to mine. The closer you get, the easier it is to overthink. Of course I also kiss the second sister, but compared to you, it's so far behind. Chu Xia said as she spoke. Grinning. Mom, don't tell your second sister about this, she will dislike me for not kissing her enough, she replied. Indirectly helping Yu Tao to exonerate herself, the other party looked at her with obviously closer eyes. Lin Yangkai was very satisfied with the performance of the younger daughter-in-law. Most of the two daughters-in-law in other families would fight overtly and secretly, but these two in her family definitely would not. The eldest daughter-in-law was quiet and generous, and the younger daughter-in-law was smart and kind. Such two sisters-in-law will only get closer and closer. Okay, mom won't tell me. Lin Yangkai answered her daughter-in-law with a smile, then took the two daughters-in-law's hands and folded them together. Mom is really lucky to have you two as daughters-in-law. Josei Kang quickly answered, that's because Lao San and I have good taste. Yes, I have to praise you two brothers for this. If you hadn't persisted, where would I have found such a good day today? It seems that I have to have a good chat with your sister-in-law. She has been worrying about Shuxian and Xiao Yan's marriage recently, forcing the two children to hide from her. Those two children are sensible and have ideas, I see. It would be better for her to save her worries. Shuxian has reached the age of marriage. How old is Xiao Yan? Josei Kang shook his head as he spoke. If my sister-in-law starts worrying about Xiao Yan's marriage now, she will really be worrying in vain. Your sister-in-law thinks that Xiao Yan is too introverted. She said that she would find him a more outgoing wife soon, who might be able to take care of him. Otherwise, it will be difficult to change his temperament when it stabilizes. Josei Kang was speechless. The purpose of his sister-in-law's finding a daughter-in-law was to find a psychological guide for her son? Chu Xia suddenly patted her forehead. No wonder Grandma asked Shuxian to accompany me. She was so happy. When she came home, she looked depressed. I thought something happened to make her unhappy when she followed me yesterday. I'm tired of going on a blind date. Do you think she can have a good face? Lin Yangkai said and sighed. Compared with your sister-in-law, I am really open-minded. Although I forced Xiaomi back then, I never forced him to go on a blind date. Weak, but why is it that the most open-minded person can't think about it anymore when it's his turn? Your sister-in-law said that Xiaomi has the ability and will find a good wife sooner or later. She is not worried at all. As for the two of her family, Shuxian is not good-looking enough, and Xiao Yan is too introverted. Looking at their current development, it's not someone who has great potential in the future. If she doesn't help them distinguish themselves earlier, I'm afraid it will be difficult to find someone they like. Does grandma know? No. Didn't you persuade my sister-in-law? I tried to persuade her, but she wouldn't listen. I understand. Josei Kang nodded. Mom didn't persuade me before. Was she afraid that my sister-in-law would say that my back wouldn't hurt when I stood and talked? Yes, you are both married. If I advise her not to rush, isn't it just standing and talking without pain? There is a difference between peers and elders. But none of us got married young, so mom should use this as an argument. I didn't expect it at the time. Lin Yangkai looked annoyed. Speaking of it, I was a bit selfish. I just wanted to avoid your sister-in-law's complaints. Then she looked at Chu Xia and Yu Tao. Xia, you and Zipping Xiangping, don't be like mom who dare not say anything. In fact, sometimes, the more you dare not say anything, the less close you appear. Yes. The two of them responded in unison. As for what they think in their hearts, only they can understand it. To be honest, if everything between sister-in-law and sister-in-law is really straightforward, I'm afraid it won't work. What were you talking about on the road? Zhou Mikang was driving Mr. Zhou, Mrs. Zhou and his third aunt Wang Lei. After getting off the car, he hurriedly came to Chu Xia and asked in a low voice. His car was in front of Chu Xia's car. See the scene behind clearly. What are you worried about? Chu Xia looked at him funny. Is there something you're worried about me knowing about? Seeing how you frown and sigh, I'm worried about your health. Chu Xia was stunned for a moment, and tried to recall it. It seemed that when her mother-in-law mentioned that her sister-in-law forced a pair of children to have a blind date, she frowned and sighed. Being cared about so much, Chu Xia's mood immediately soared. If it hadn't been in public, she will definitely give the leader a sweet and deep French kiss. Everyone had already entered the first house where they were going to pay New Year's greetings. Chu Xia quickly calmed down her emotions and acted dignified. Zhou Mikang's mouth twitched imperceptibly, and he took his wife's little hand with one hand and put the other hand on her waist. Chu Xia pulled out hard, but couldn't pull out, so she simply let him go. Coming from the new century, she had no pressure on this kind of thing. If the leader of the group didn't have any pressure, then what else could she resist? This family's surname is Wang, and they have a good relationship with the Zhou family, but they are not very close. Therefore, everyone exchanged a few words, got up and left. The next household is Grandpa Ding's family. His family's relationship with the Zhou family is second only to that with the Jing family. However, Mr. Zhou and Mr. Ding have been fighting each other all their lives. This so-called pinching is not a conflict, but a way for the two to get along. For example, now, after greeting each other and saying Happy New Year greetings, Mr. Ding punched Mr. Zhou in the chest. Old guy, you are so heartless. You ran over there and never came back. I don't want us old people to do that, man. If you miss me, you will definitely go see me. Mr. Zhou snorted coldly. That's the way you are. You always only find fault with others, and you are right in everything. Look at you, when will you let me say that I am willing to die? Mrs. Ding quickly interrupted him. Bah, pooh. What do you mean by the Chinese New Year? If you do this again, I will lock you in the room and stop you from talking. Mr. Ding, who was so lively just now, immediately withered away and smiled ingratiatingly. Now that I'm gone, my old man is happy, and there is no more to talk about. Don't worry, I will never say such things again. Wow. Hearing the baby's cry, old Mrs. Ding glared at Mr. Ding, and pulled old Mrs. Zhou inside. It's so fun to look at my little great-grandson. Those eyes are exactly the replica of his father. As soon as his wife left, Mr. Ding regained his vitality and looked at Mr. Zhou proudly. Don't be envious. This time next year, you will also be a great-grandfather. Now that he had found something to show off, Mr. Zhou nodded immediately. You finally said something I like to hear. Let me tell you, by this time next year, I will have several great-grandchildren. By then, I will be very busy. Oh, by the way, I will have twin great-grandchildren by this time next year. Are you happy for me? Twin great-grandsons. Mr. Ding was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Old Joe, I will argue with you on other matters, but not on this matter. Congratulations. I will have to be happy then and strive for success. Let me add a pair of twin great-grandchildren to my family. Everyone. They also said that this matter is not compatible. If not, why are you so anxious to add a pair of twins and great-grandchildren? However, everyone who had adapted to the way the two got along was speechless, but they were not surprised. While the two old men were bickering, a group of juniors from the Zhou family also chatted with the juniors from the Ding family. When she learned that Chu Xia was pregnant with twins, Li Miao, the Ding family's granddaughter-in-law, looked envious and held Chu Xia's hand affectionately. Third sister-in-law, you are so awesome. I am so happy. Can this kind of thing be described as awesome? Chu Xia looked uncomfortable, but she had to answer, well, it seems to be more difficult when giving birth. Then I'm willing to. Li Miao said and smiled sheepishly. Look, I'm so shameless, making the third sister-in-law and the eldest sister-in-law laugh. By the way, eldest sister-in-law, you can feel the little guy kicking you now. I can't feel it yet. Yu Tao smiled and shook her head. It's not yet time. At first glance, I look like an inexperienced and foolish person. Li Miao looked at Chu Xia curiously. Third sister-in-law, what do you think it will be like if the little guy in your belly grows up and kicks you together? Chu Xia rubbed her head. I have never dared to imagine this feeling. From what you said, it's like they are fighting in my stomach. Don't scare me, I'm a coward. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 714. Second update arrived. No, don't let her guess. Wang Qi, the eldest granddaughter-in-law of the Ding family, quickly answered, twins are actually not much harder than one. Brothers and sisters, don't be afraid. Sister-in-law, you gave birth to only one child, how dare you say that two children are not as hard as one? That's one more little person. Without waiting for Chu Xia to answer, Li Miao quickly denied Wang Qi's statement, with a hint of in a questioning tone. Wang Qi frowned. I gave birth to one child, but when I went for prenatal check UPS, there were people who were pregnant with twins and triplets. I asked them how they felt. What they told me personally could be false. Li Miao said unconvinced, everyone's situation is different. How can I be so sure? Sister-in-law, third sister-in-law, do you agree with my statement? Do you agree with her statement? With the black line at one end in early summer, could it be that I was still hoping that my pregnancy would be more difficult? At this moment, Li Miao also realized the loopholes in her words, and quickly made up for it. Sister-in-law, I'm not saying that you will suffer more when you are pregnant with twins. What I mean is that everyone's body is different, and the situation will naturally be different. But no matter what, it's definitely right to do more checks and pay more attention, right? Yu Tao frowned and said first, Li Miao, I don't want to listen to what you say. Any conflicts between you and Wang Qi are between you. You can't use my siblings as an introduction. As he said, pulling Chu Xia, Xia, let's go to mom and grandma's place. Okay. Chu Xia stood up obediently and sat next to her mother-in-law with her, without seeing Mrs. Zhou. Yu Tao asked doubtfully, Mom, where is grandma? It's up to you, Grandma Ding, to see the baby. Lin Yangkai was talking to the daughter-in-law of the Ding family, the mothers-in-law of Li Miao and Wang Qi. Seeing that his eldest daughter-in-law didn't look very good, she immediately left her alone. With a worried look on his face, he said, "Tao, what's wrong with you?" "Mom, no." Yu Tao quickly smiled and shook her head, then looked at the daughter-in-law of the Ding family. "Aunt Ding, my sister-in-law is pregnant with twins, which is a great event, but your Li Miao's words are really not nice. If it were any other time. I don't know how to say anything, but it's Chinese New Year. We come here to say New Year's greetings for the sake of happiness, not to cause trouble. My brothers and sisters are generous and don't care about it, but I can't help but care about it. If I do anything inappropriate, I still have to worry about it. Please forgive me. In my memory, Yu Tao has always been gentle and quiet and has no temper, and because of the Yu family's family background, she is deep in her heart. She has a little inferiority complex, and today, it was for her. The other party actually looked after Zhou Mikang's character. Chu Xia looked at the other party stupidly. His eyes were full of emotion. Lin Yangkai did not expect Yu Tao to behave like this. Although my heart is full of joy. On the surface, he had to pretend, so he deliberately glared at the eldest daughter-in-law. "You child, I really spoiled you. How can you talk to Aunt Ding like this?" How could Aunt Ding not know what Lin Yangkai meant, so she smiled bitterly and said, "Sister-in-law, where do you want me to put my old face like this? Look at your two daughters-in-law, and then look at my two daughters-in-law. Hey, from now on, I'm really too embarrassed to see you. Brother and sister, don't say that." Lin Yangkai smiled and held her back. The children should handle their own affairs. As elders, we don't get involved. My Tao is straight-tempered, so don't take it to heart. Sister-in-law, I will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. After a pause, Aunt Ding added, "But Li Miao's temperament is to take soft things rather than hard ones. In 2 days, I will take her with me. In 2 days go to your house and ask her to apologize to the third daughter-in-law in person." "No, no, no, let this matter go as it is. My eldest daughter-in-law considers the third daughter-in-law to be her biological sister. I can't bear to see her suffer any grievance. Just don't blame her for being ignorant. There's no need to apologize. I have them all wrong. Everyone is wrong." Aunt Ding just smiled with a bitter look on her face. People said it was all wrong, but she just gave her a way out. She couldn't take it seriously. Hey, if her husband knew about this, he would probably explode. "Mom." Wang Qi came over, called his mother-in-law, and looked at Lin Yangkai apologetically. "Third aunt, I'm sorry, it's me as the boss who didn't take the lead. If you want to blame, blame me." "Where's Li Miao?" Aunt Ding asked, suppressing her anger. "Go back to the room." Wang Qi bit his lip and still found an excuse for the other party. She said she was too embarrassed to see the third aunt and her family. Does she still know that she has no face to see people? Aunt Ding snorted coldly. If she knew this, she wouldn't be able to talk nonsense just for her own sake. "It's my fault, I should have let her go," Wang Qi said again. At this time, Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Ding happened to come out and saw the two daughters-in-law chatting hotly. The two old ladies looked happy. Although the two old men were pinching each other, they got along very well. Of course, I hope the juniors can get along with each other. Knowing how much her old lady valued her daughter-in-law, Lin Yangkai quickly winked at Chu Xia, who greeted her with a smile. After greeting old Madame Ding, she took her arm and said, "Grandma, isn't the baby cute? Cute, so cute. By this time next year, our family will have 4 babies. Including Xiangping's, there will be 5. If Xiaofeng and Xiaji are also pregnant." The old lady took a breath as she spoke. "Grandma, now I'm just looking forward to celebrating the new year next year. Look at this old lady, she's so happy that she can't even find her answer." Old Lady Ding said with a smile, "I will definitely go to your house next year to enjoy the joy. You said that in your Zhou family, this person is Ding Wang? When I talk about it, Everyone's eyes turn red with envy. What a blessing. Still thinking about old Mrs. Zhang, old Mrs. Joe stopped sitting and greeted everyone to wait for the next house. Aunt Ding, who followed behind, had a bitter look on her face. It was rare for father-in-law and Uncle Joe to cross the border this time. The conversation went smoothly, but the little daughter-in-law caused such a big trouble again. Yanhua, what's wrong with you? Old Mrs. Ding, who was returning home after seeing off the Joe family, looked at her daughter-in-law's somewhat ugly face. Aren't you jealous when you heard that she was pregnant with twins? Mom, how could I think that? Aunt Ding sighed and reported what happened just now to the old lady in a low voice. The old man probably couldn't hide it, but the old man had always been shy about the old lady, so the old lady told him, still relatively good. As soon as the daughter-in-law finished speaking, Mrs. Ding's face turned black. Why didn't you say it just now? She did not suppress her voice. Mom. Aunt Ding looked at her mother-in-law with some embarrassment, not knowing what to say. What's wrong? Mr. Ding looked over and said, it's outrageous that the guests started making noise just after they left. It had only been a month since we last met. Old Mrs. Zhang was so thin that she was completely out of shape. When she saw the Zhou family waiting to enter the hall, her dull eyes quickly focused. Soldier, Minjiao, are you here? Mr. Zhang was older than Mr. Zhou, so Mrs. Zhang called Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou by their first names. The couple quickly responded and sent a lot of auspicious words. All the younger generations also came up to say hello one by one. Zhang Shui ran out first, looking at everyone with eyes filled with gratitude. Because they had long known that the Zhou family was coming, brothers Zhang Amen and Zhang Aguo were waiting at home. For fear that the old lady would become suspicious, they all deliberately did whatever they had to do as usual, and now they all came out to welcome her. After everyone finished greeting each other, they sat down and chatted. When they learned that everyone had just come from the Ding family, the topic turned to the Ding family's grandson, and then to the Zhou family's plan to have a new child. Old Mrs. Zhang has always liked Chu Xia, but today she was not particularly affectionate to her. She even got up and moved her seat when Chu Xia sat next to her. Worried that Chu Xia would misunderstand, Yu Tao quickly whispered in her ear, Grandma Zhang doesn't have any objection to you. She cares about her illness and doesn't want to be too close to you. I know. Chu Xia's voice was choked. Zhang Shui was wrong, but Mrs. Zhang was actually an old lady with a very good character. In an instant, she didn't mind the whole family coming to see Grandma Zhang. In fact, Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou really wanted to stay at Jiang's house for lunch, but that would be too deliberate. Therefore, they declined each other's attempts to stay and left, but they agreed to Jiang's stay. My family, on the 15th day of the first lunar month, we all went to watch the lanterns together. When we went out, Lin Yangkaiu took Zhang Shui's hand and left. After leaving the Zhang family, everyone was in a bad mood. People are the most powerless in the face of life and death. Brother Zhou, sister-in-law, I'm sorry. Mr. Ding suddenly appeared out of nowhere, startling Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou, who were walking in front. What's wrong with you? Mr. Zhou unconsciously reached out to touch his forehead. Are you confused by the fever? It was 40 years ago that the other party called him Brother Zhou. That time it was because he was shot in the thigh while trying to save his life. Thinking of this, Mr. Zhou's face became serious. Could it be that something big happened again? Already? Brother Zhou, sister-in-law, it's because of my lax upbringing and failure to manage the juniors well. If you still let me be your friend, go to your house for lunch and ask me to apologize in person. It was rare that Mr. Ding did not argue with Mr. Zhou and kept his posture extremely low. Mr. Zhou's expression became even more solemn. He could not think of anything that could make the other party become like this, so he cast an inquiring gaze on Zhou. Old lady. Mrs. Zhou also looked puzzled. Seeing the old man looking at her, she shook her head, indicating that she didn't understand anything either. Lin Yangqiu, who was originally a little dissatisfied with this matter, saw that Mr. Ding had such a low attitude. The resentment in her heart had long since dissipated a lot. She quickly stepped forward and whispered the previous incident to Mr. Zhou and Mr. Zhou. MRS. The two treasures in Chu Xia's belly are more valuable than pandas to Mr. Zhou and MRS Zhou. Therefore, when they heard that the Ding family's granddaughter-in-law used her own treasure as a gift in order to compete with her sister-in-law, Rake, the expressions of the old couple immediately darkened. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 715. The third update has arrived. Brother Zhou, sister-in-law, please calm down. Mr. Ding couldn't go on. Any persuasion seemed powerless. Otherwise, he wouldn't be waiting here. We have been friends for decades, and we know each other's personality very well. To be able to show such an attitude and posture shows that Mr. Ding is really very guilty. If they refuse like this, Mr. Ding will probably not be able to overcome the hurdle in his heart. Son, I will be embarrassed to see them in the future. At this age, there are fewer and fewer old friends who can still chat and talk with each other. Who knows which one will leave one day? Thinking of this, Mr. Zhou softened his heart, snorted at the other party, and took the lead to walk to Ding's house. Zhou Mikang pulled Lin Yangqiu and whispered, "Mom, tell your grandparents that I'm taking Chu Xia to see Xiaoxi." Just because he didn't want to make the matter a big deal didn't mean that he could forgive Li Miao's unreasonableness. Xiaomi. After hesitation, Lin Yangqiu nodded, "Okay, you and Chu Xia can go to Xiaoxi's place. If there are many Liao family members, you might as well take Chu Xia out to eat." "I know." Chu Xia looked at her mother-in-law hesitantly, and then at the group leader Zhangzi. "Is this good? Will it make Grandpa Ding and Grandma Ding think too much? Looking at Grandpa Ding, I feel bad. You are a pregnant woman now, so you don't have to think so much about others. Your grandparents will take care of it. Their old friends are gathering together. Why are we, the younger generation, messing around?" As Zhou Mikang spoke, he forcibly pulled Chu Xia away, leaving Lin Yangqiu there with a bitter smile, following what his younger son said. "Aren't they all messing around? But the problem is, if only the old man and the old lady are allowed to pass. If they don't mess around, I'm afraid Mr. Ding still won't be able to get over this hurdle in his heart. Ever since she married into the Zhou family, she has never seen Mr. Ding submit to anyone. Every time she had a fight with him, he would always let him go. He is not evil-minded, but he is a bit competitive." This is her impression of Mr. Ding. When she was about to enter, Yu Tao reflexively looked back to Chu Xia, only to find that her mother-in-law was the only one standing there in a daze, so she quickly grabbed Zhou Zikang and turned back. "Mom, what's wrong?" Zhou Zikang asked. "Nothing, let's go." Lin Yangqiu smiled at the eldest son and daughter-in-law. "Xiaomi and Chu Xia are going to Xiaoxi's place. We should give Ding Junpeng's wife some color." Zhou Zikang snorted coldly, "How can she talk like that when she's celebrating the new year? What we came here to do is to save the face of your Grandpa Ding and Grandma Ding. It has nothing to do with her." Lin Yangqiu sighed, "Let's go. It's not like you don't know Xiaomi's temper. If he decides something, no one can change it for him. If the Ding family thinks too much, just think too much. There is nothing we can do." As expected. After everyone entered, Mr. Ding looked a little gloomy when he saw Zhou Mixang and Chu Xia among the crowd. After a moment of hesitation, he asked, "Are Xiaomi and his wife behind?" Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou walked in front. Not knowing what happened next, they all looked at Lin Yangqiu, who came in last. "Dad. Mom, I haven't had time to tell you yet. I haven't been able to stand still all morning. Chu Xia is pregnant with twins and they are not out of danger yet, so I asked Xiaomi to take her to Xiaoxi's place to rest." Mrs. Jo slapped herself on the forehead fiercely. Look at me as a grandmother, I have a really rough heart. Why did I just ignore this matter? Boss and wife, you did the right thing, Xiang Ding said to Mr. Ding. Old Ding too, don't think too much. My little wife is weak, so we have to be careful. Don't think too much, don't think too much. Mr. Ding responded repeatedly, my sister-in-law and brother Joe are here just to give my old Ding some face. If I think about it any more, I'll be like a chicken. He frowned and looked at his grandson. Junpeng, where is your wife? Ding Junpeng was in his mid-20s, with a medium build, a little thin, and pretty features. Hearing the old man calling him, he hurried forward. Grandpa, I'll go upstairs and call her right away. She did something wrong. I'm sorry to come down. Mr. Ding waved his hand at him and motioned for him to go quickly. When his figure disappeared, he sighed, everyone is worried. Mr. Joe reached out and patted him. Okay, let them take care of the younger generation's affairs. What are you going to do to please me? Otherwise, don't think I'm saying you're insincere. Today I will personally cook to make the mutton stuffed soup dumplings that you like to eat, Brother Joe. I haven't made them in many years. My skills may have deteriorated a bit, but you can't dislike it. Mr. Joe's eyes were a little wet. Back then, in gratitude for his saving grace, the stubborn and awkward old man Ding made him his hometown's special mutton soup dumplings, and the portion was only for him. The teacher was just right. When I went to see him, old Ding didn't even give in. He was too embarrassed to eat it himself, so he gave it to the teacher. As a result, as soon as the teacher caught the dumpling with his chopsticks, old Ding stopped him and said that it was sick rice. If you want to eat, you can go to the canteen to buy it. Old Ding has always been so stubborn. Fortunately, the teacher is generous and open-minded. He doesn't get angry even though he doesn't like it. He just treats old Ding as he should. After old Ding got married, if he was asked to cook again, he would do nothing. He said it was too embarrassing for a man to cook, and he would rather buy it for him than do it. But now, the other party used this kind of action to tell him how deeply guilty he felt. The little bit of resentment that was originally hidden in his heart had completely disappeared at this time. Mr. Joe rolled up his sleeves and followed him. I'll give you a hand. The two old men took action, and of course others couldn't stand by, so they all moved forward, but old Ding stopped him. How can you come here all at once? You're all waiting outside. I've mixed the noodles and stuffing. Let's take action again. So, the next scene was that the two old men and the two staff members of the Ding family were busy in the kitchen, chopping stuffing and making noodles, while the two old ladies and their children and grandchildren were chatting outside. Chu Xia was away, and Wang Lei accompanied Yu Tao. When she first married into the Zhou family, she was very restrained about this kind of entertainment. Her mother-in-law and several sisters-in-law often took her to attend similar gatherings. Now, she can behave very appropriately. After all, she was much older than Yu Tao and Chu Xia, and she was their elder. Therefore, when she came here before, she sat with her eldest sister-in-law and second sister-in-law. Now that Chu Xia was away, she felt that she had the obligation to take care of Yu Tao and could not leave her alone. Therefore, she sat next to Yu Tao. While the two were talking, Wang Qi came over and apologized again. Yu Tao smiled at her. It's not your fault. There's no need to always say sorry to us. Besides, my attitude was a bit extreme at that time. Really speaking, I should be the one to apologize to you. Wang Qi sighed. Sister-in-law, to be honest, I really envy the relationship between your sisters-in-law. If I could treat Li Miao like you did, probably, my relationship with her would not be what it is today. But, after a pause, she sighed again. In the beginning, I wanted to treat her well, but she always looked down on me and disliked my parents' poor conditions. After enduring it a few times, I didn't bother to tolerate her anymore. As a result, our relationship became more and more tense. Hey. Yu Tao knows the family background of the two grandsons of the Ding family. The situation of Wang Qi's natal family is similar to that of her natal family. They are ordinary workers' families. Wang Qi and Ding Junfei, the eldest grandson of the Ding family, were also classmates. It can be said that Wang Qi and Ding Junfei is the replica of her and Zhou Zikang, so she also has an instinctive affinity for Wang Qi. The Ding family's granddaughter-in-law, Li Miao, has an unusual background. Li Miao's grandfather is even more powerful than her husband. And she was able to marry Ding Junpeng because Mr. Ding was once a subordinate of Li Miao's grandfather. And Ding Junpeng was a subordinate of Li Miao's father. Li Miao's grandfather and father recognized the Ding family very much and promoted the marriage with the Ding family. Zhu said that Li Miao had a sweetheart before marrying Ding Junpeng. Later, she married into the Ding family without convincing her family members. Therefore, one can imagine her attitude towards the Ding family. As for her attitude towards Wang Qi, let alone. Therefore, Yu Tao understood Wang Qi's feelings very well, and at the same time she was very fortunate that the people around her, whether they were her sisters-in-law or her sister-in-law, did not have the temper of a young lady. Wang Lei didn't know the situation of the two grandsons of the Ding family, so she was indifferent to what Wang Qi said, and at the same time she was a little unhappy. She felt that the other party was trying to excuse herself. In her opinion, a slap in the face could not make a difference. There are many problems in the world, and they are definitely not the fault of one person. Wang Qi had been looking at the expressions of Yu Tao and Wang Lei, and of course he noticed the coldness in Wang Lei's eyes. He didn't know how to explain it, so he kept silent. Yu Tao couldn't explain the matter between Wang Qi and Li Miao in front of Wang Qi, so she deliberately said that she was tired from sitting and took Wang Lei out for a walk. After the two came back, Wang Lei's attitude towards Wang Qi was obviously a lot more affectionate. Of course Wang Qi understood why, and looked at Yu Tao gratefully. Sister-in-law, thank you. Then he looked at Wang Lei, third aunt, thank you. Yu Tao smiled and said, why are you being so polite? We live in the same courtyard and have frequented each other before. Third aunt is not familiar with you. If you get along with her for a long time, you will find that third aunt is the real wise person. You can't figure out anything, but just talk to her and your heart will immediately become brighter. Wang Lei responded with an embarrassed look, Tao, just praise me. I'm just older, have experienced a lot, and found happiness unexpectedly, so I've looked away from many things. You are so young now, how scary would it be if you were as old-fashioned as me? Third aunt, you are just about to become a mother, how can you say you are old? Yu Tao glared at her and then smiled, Kaizang, you don't know that when third uncle and third aunt are together, they can, it's so sweet, I'm so jealous when I see it. Third uncle has a good temper and knows how to love his wife. Third aunt, you are really lucky. That's right, I often tell Zhou Zikang that with Uncle San on top and Xiaomi on the bottom, he should work hard. Your eldest brother loves his wife enough, so don't be dissatisfied. As long as women talk about feelings, they will definitely have something in common, and the distance will become much closer in an instant.